So today we've got a customer repair. It's one of the more unusual sets. It's a Midland 77104 GTL, and it's not like the normal 77104 with the fairy lights that we see here in the UK. Different chassis, and they work very well. But I would like to say they work a lot better than most of the other Midlands, apart from the early version of the 77104 UK. We do have a circuit diagram for it, and we also have an alignment photograph which I've done previously. Because it's a set I don't see, I thought we'll dig this out and, you know, save myself a lot of hassle. No idea where the clipboard is. We'll make a start. The customer's also sent in a Midland 48. I thought we'd do this first. It's 28th of February. I've got an organ job to do, which I'll show you on the video. I know you're not watching this to look at pipe organs in churches, but I had a situation where I was playing this particular organ at the weekend. There was a note sticking all the way through the service, which was very embarrassing. I could have said, well, the organ's unplayable, but I did my best. There we go. Be aware there's an American version of this for FCC approval, and I bought one off eBay. Because it doesn't have the approval stamp on the front, and the PR2794 is there. This is the later approval, so that it's UK channels like CB2781, but it's the later approval from 94. And then it says MPT 1382, which is what it is, rather than 1320. I want you to know it's UK channels, it's not CPT channels. This causes confusion. Anyway, I bought one of these off eBay myself. Turns out to be an illegal American one, and the back plate, of course, said FCC. So that was straight in the scrap bin. So they are easy to get wrong even when I do it. But you can see it's got CE approval on the back, on the top, and it's got the PR2794. But it hasn't got anything on the front, which is the confusion. Right, this belongs to James, and that's where we're leaving it at. He lives in Devon. And he ended up buying a illegal radio as well. You know, he said, I've got 4 for you to service, that's why I can do 3 of those. So it does happen. I love these eBay adverts. I know nothing about CB radio, says somebody selling an untested set. And you look at the previous history, and they've sold like 40 CB radios prior. But they know nothing about CB. You know perfectly well it's tested not working. They're the ones you want to fix it instantly, give them good feedback, and put a link to your repair video, which took you 20 minutes. Right. Power's up on channel 9 because it uses the annoying chip. So we'll put it on channel 20. So it's not a real rotary switch. It is a rotary switch, but it's not real. It's just an up-down masquerading as a rotary switch. Make sure it's on full RF gain, because you've got inners and outers. You pull it and push it. So you've got RF gain quite low because you pull it for RF gain. It was down there. And then mic gain is the outer, or the other way round. Volume and squelch. Well, I haven't heard anything come out of it yet. Right, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll start with PA. It really helps my servicing when they've got PA. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2 3 4 5 5 4 3 2 1. Right, that's PA working. Let's go to extension speaker. Switch back to CV. So it looks like it's... Is it squelch on that? Yeah. So it's on off volume squelch. and then mic gain, which will turn to full, and RF gain, which we've turned to full. How confusing is that? So we got neither mic gain or RF gain at full as that was. Right. That's probably all that was wrong with it. Right, here we go. We know that PA function works, and we know the sockets work. We know the potentiometers work and the switches work. It doesn't have a meter lamp, and it doesn't have a meter. Isn't that great? I love sets with no meters. Picture in picture on, and then we'll go to our normal picture. Whoops, what happened there? That's better. And we'll show the normal pictures, which we do after discussing how and why with the test set here. There we go. Transmit. I'll tell you what, it'd help if we plug the test gear in. And we have no transmit. And my talkie-walkie isn't here, so I don't know whether it's working a few inches. Right, let's put the signal generator on frequency. So on 27.79125, test gear's only been on 20 minutes, so we won't take any frequencies by gospel at this point. Absolutely nothing. Let's put it to channel 9. Nothing on transmit. Right, well, doesn't sound like the synthesizer's running on this set. The proper screwdriver isn't on here. I'm sure these aren't supposed to be silver screws, you know. These have come out of a Uniden, haven't they? So the first thing we'll be checking on this is the reference crystal intact, etc, etc. Can I see a reference crystal? I can, it's one of those teeny weeny reference crystals. So we'll wait for the soldering iron to warm up and take the rest of the screws out of the case. I can get to some of them whilst the soldering iron warms up. I thought this would be a straightforward retune and test. Perhaps these can suffer from dry joints as well. But that would be a first for this model for me, if it's got dry joints. So we've got full pelt on the test set. Let's put a few more pairs of glasses on. So you've got this pad here. If that goes, is it hygroscopic when it starts absorbing moisture? It's right across the synthesizer, isn't it? Yes, Mr. Tango, it is. So our VCO sections round here, anything round there, dry joint, is going to stop this from working at all. The first thing I'm going to check is the reference oscillator running. We'll use the oscilloscope as a frequency counter. Well, I can't even see that running. Just go through some dry joints. Okay, folks, I've got it receiving now. I was beginning to think the synthesizer was playing. I've taken that pad off, gone through for dry joints, and we've now got receive. All this was screwed up. I've done some very rough tuning, and we're listening to it at 3 microvolts. It was at 3 millivolts to get anything as it came. All this receive screwed up. Now I've got no transmit, but that could be because all the transmitters screwed up as well. So the VCOs had to be adjusted. I've got no method for adjusting this. I've adjusted it till it's locked. So I'll go and get my talkie-walkie, and we'll see whether we can get it to transmit. Okay, so the answer is, there's my walkie-talkie. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Wally, testing 1 2. So it is transmitting a few inches. So it proves the synthesizer is working. That's what we're trying to do here. So if we go through the transmitter chain, we may get something on transmit. Now these don't have low power on them, so we don't have a high-low power switch because it's the next approval after 2781, as I've already mentioned. So I'll just turn that so we don't get feedback. So at this stage, I'm adjusting for maximum quietening on here. There we go. It's gone into transmit. Go to your main meter. We can turn the talkie-walkie off. That's 1.5 watts. Start again with the tuning. .2, what's about like a new radio now, isn't it? I think that's going to be the one done on the spectrum analyzer. I'm going to have to use the spectrum analyzer on this set. Now, do these have a power preset, or is 2.5 watts what we're getting? power is there. So it does have a power preset. There we go. So we've gone beyond 3 watts. 3.1. So now we're at full whack. We start the tuning again. Centre of the peak as usual. And we've got 4 watts on there. I will just check it with the spectrum analyzer, which I'll put on. In fact, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll put that to maximum. And then turn it down on the power preset. The legal limit of 4 watts. Now, last time we used the spectrum analyzer on a demonstration here, I was unable to get you to see. We've got lighting glare on the camera. Just want a crocodile clip lead. Set the frequency, the signal. I'm going to set the spectrum analyzer to the 2nd harmonic. I'll just put that somewhere in the vicinity. Just press auto and we'll switch to the spectrum analyzer. I think it's camera 6. No, it's not. Is it camera 5? Yeah, we've still got glare, haven't we? Right. Frequency, let's put in 2755 megs. Just make sure that it's clean. And the answer it is, I just unfortunately can't show you that. You have to turn the lights off in the room to do that. Okay. We'll turn that back off. So 0, 0, 0, not applicable. Something's telling me it's that one, and I think it was 170 milliamps. So it's now 1.084. 1.084 amps. We've got 4 watts on channel 20. Look at the other channels. Okay, so we've got nothing. This is where we're going to have to play with the VCO. We now have lock. It's 4 watts. Now we go to channel 1 and we have lock. It's 4.05 watts. This will stay on the bench overnight and we'll make sure it locks tomorrow. And it's locking on channel 20. Right, so that's a good start, folks. So I'm happy to do the frequency now. Let's go over to, I'll put this silly scope away. I'll put this away. And that is hopefully a lesson to folks. I'm going to clean this board with isopropyl. That pad had become hygroscopic and was causing the processor to short out, but not directly, you know what I mean, just in microamps. We need to go off the extension speaker on the wall to the instrument speaker. We don't know what the receive. Well, I know what the receive was. It was 3 millivolts. Because everything's been twiddled. That's the problem. Okay, so we know we've got RF gain and mic gain to full. Concentrating gain on transmit. We'll just do deviation. Oh, I have to unplug the extension speaker, do it's one of those. Wallow. It's 1.8 it's reading on this test set. We'll go over to the other test set and just get the deviation done. Wow, at least 1.8 on that test set as well. So our Marconi one isn't playing up today. So transmit deviation is in the naughty corner down there. So it doesn't look like it's been fiddled with. Oh, how did that go back in? Right, unplug it and move it away. Wallow. That's it, that's deviation. So it was 1.8. Back to the Marconi test set. Wallow. And it's correctly reading on there. So deviation was 1.8 kilohertz. It's now 2.2 average with a peak of 2.5 kilohertz. VCO OOL for out of lock, locked. Frequency. Go to the frequency counter. I don't even know if it's adjustable on these. Let's have a look. 2779089. Write that down. 2779089, and let's see whether it's adjustable. Disappointing if it isn't. Let's all be disappointed. No, it's got a little trimmer down there between the wiring. There we go. Just slightly high, which is how I want it to be. 27,79126. So receive was 3 millivolts. Right, we'll get it tuned. Start with the detector. 100 microvolts on the signal generator. Let's go over to the oscilloscope. Now we'll plug that extension speaker back in. I would guess the detector is where? There. Not far out. So I've already gone through this roughly to get any receive at all. I think we'll start with the what I think is going to be the IF. Crystal filtered, which was a requirement with PR2794. And I suspect the rest of the front end. So we'll drop that now down to, I'm not even showing you the SINAD meter. Drop it down to about 6 dB. Back off the attenuator. Back it off again. Back it off again. I think that's where we are with it. Right, let's get a reading. 12 dB, 0.43 microvolts. 10 dB, 0.32, 20 dB, 0.65. Let's do the squelch. Squelch to full. So go back to the attenuator on here and want it to be 100 microvolts. 3, 10, 30, 100. It's not coming in. Does it ever come in? No, it doesn't. So never opens. Let's do the threshold test. Signal generator to standby, set threshold. Parked at 0.3 of a microvolt. Nothing. It's 1.4 microvolts, which isn't really good enough. But I think that's been wound up for some bizarre reason. Squelch is there. So go back to 100 microvolts, squelch to full. Twiddle that till we get it opening. So it's just opening at that. So reduce the signal. It's off, on, off. Excellent. Turn the signal generator back to standby, parked at 0.3 of a microvolt. Squelch down to open, then set threshold. Switch the signal generator back on. It's 1.2 microvolts, which is disappointing. I'll just try that test again, being a bit more careful. I'll set the squelch. Nope. .25 is the best I can get. So all that's done. We are done. So I'll just, that's got a screw missing, and the trouble there is his wires are going to fall out. See what I can do for him. Back in the day, Knights used to sell the teeny weeny screws. Okay, so I've got the screwdriver back. So that's cleaned up the printed circuit board with isopropyl alcohol. We'll just check the radio still works. Yep. Right, switch off. Put the soldering iron on and start putting it back together. There's a little tip on this that when it was first here and there was no transmit or receive, bearing in mind the VCO was also out of lock because it had been twiddled, there was no whine coming from the synthesizer. Once I'd removed that hydroscopic pad, and I just went through the soldering just in case underneath, I then, even though the VCO was out of lock, I could hear this high-pitched wee from the synthesizer. So that was what was totally different. And you then felt, yeah, that's working. And it was. So sometimes you see you welcome a synthesizer whine. So it's going to be about 1994, 1995 with it being that type of approval. As I said at the beginning, people are put off because it's not 2781 and they think that it's perhaps a CPT only, and it isn't. Wonder when this last worked. That's one of his screws on the floor. You won't see that again. worry about the missing screw later. Right, does the internal speaker work? I've screwed it all back together. I never tried that, did I? Absolutely fine. So swap the aerial, the test equipment for the roof aerial. Turn the test gear off. One down a Roger.
I think I'm going to have some beers tonight and get pissed off.
You can see through the video monitor, you can see its multiplex display. Let's set this squelch. Right, we'll turn the volume down. It's got a Midland mic with it, so I'm sure the customer will be pretty chuffed to get that back. I just need to do that screw in the mic plug. So we'll do an on-the-air test later, especially seeing as Mark's here over the weekend, and say thank you for watching the Midland 77 104 GTL from 1994.